Hey, good morning. It's Steve Sawyer. It's Closet Church, and it's May the 11th, 2019. One of the interesting things that happens most every day, I wake up and I try to think about, well, what do I want to share? What kind of ideas do I have? And, it's really amazing. I can have this music play out in my head with ideas, and next thing you know, it's almost like a symphony. And then when it comes time to try to write it down or try to repeat it, you realize, it's not going to come out the same way. And I love the idea of spontaneity. And good morning, everybody. I love you guys dearly. But so I'm just going to take off with the thought that I had, because this morning I was thinking about science. I was thinking about religion. I was thinking about how real religion really is ahead of science. The biggest problem we have is when traditional organized religion is always lagging behind science. But real religion doesn't have to lag behind science. We can actually be shoulder to shoulder at the front pace, if not ahead. And that's extraordinarily important, because you don't have to do a whole lot of history and read up a whole lot of stuff to remember some of the problems that traditional organized religion has had, even in the times of Ben Franklin. My goodness, what a brilliant man. When he invented the lightning rod to try to help save people's homes and barns, there were some people from some of the very conservative edges of religion that said, this is not right. You are interfering with God's will. And so there were people that tried to debunk the beauty and the brilliance of him creating the lightning rod, because it altered the course of lightning. It's like, these are some things. And so we really should always thank science for removing superstition from our minds. And the idea for me is, when you think about science should always be standing on the shoulders of giants, which means they take from their predecessors and they work on ongoing facts that might change from day to day, or facts that lead to one discovery. And when that discovery is massaged around for a year or 10 years or 20 years, all of a sudden new facts are found. And science is continually in search of, how about living science, not frozen science? And that's the simple point I'm trying to bring up. There's a difference between a ongoing living truth experience and the ones that are made manifest by resting in the shadow of giants. And certainly we have giants in our history. My favorite giant, of course, is Jesus of Nazareth. But there have been great giants in the spiritual momentum and progress of the life on this earth. The biggest problem is not with the innovators and the giants themselves, it's with the followers. They did not receive the memo necessarily that it is an ongoing quest to open up and explore and learn new things about God and the relationship of God in the universe, or God and the relationship to the individual. It's like, oh, well, this works. We can fit this real neatly into a box, and we're going to keep it that way for a few centuries until, that's why we have over 4,000 denominations in Christianity. People go, oh, well, wait, what about this? What about that? All I'm recommending is that we all have a better phone stand than I've got. That was fun, wasn't it? I hope everybody else enjoyed that as much as I did. Now look, now the color's all weird. What do I got to do? How do I make that work? Hello. All right, so now it looks like the color's all off. Doesn't matter. What I'm suggesting is that what we do Well, that sidetracked me when my phone fell, didn't it? That we have the same enthusiasm for living truth as scientists do for living science. It's compelling, it's brilliant, it's ongoing knowledge, it's improving our database of our spiritual growth. I know of virtually no scientists who live inside the paradigm that now we have figured it all out. I remember reading years ago, there was, I think it was like in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the man, it was a man at the time, who was in charge of the United States Patent Office. This is like right 1900, late 1800s. He said, and I can paraphrase his quote, that I can only imagine that everything that could be invented has already been invented. Wow, can you believe that? He obviously didn't get the memo. It's more likely that we'll find people in spiritual circles who aren't getting the memo than in scientific circles. And it's just incredibly important that we open up our minds and hearts. If we approach the presence of God and our relationship to God in the universe with the same attitude a scientist has, we're not going to have to be pulled kicking and screaming into the 21st century and the 22nd century now. So there's something brilliant and right about having an open mind. There's something brilliant and right about always looking for the experience of expanded truth, because there are a lot of beliefs that we still have in organized religion, which I don't think represent the long-term destiny of God's plan for spiritual growth on the planet. There's a whole bunch of them, but you just got to look around and see what it is that we're railing against now, and go back 100 years ago, see what we were complaining about then, go back another 100 years and see what we were complaining about then. When religionists that are of the organized, traditional, dogmatic branch finally give up things that science proves aren't true, it's like a slinky effect. It's like all of a sudden we just rush forward, but then we get seated and cemented in place again. Science, like the slinky, just pulls and pulls and pulls until finally the rest of the slinky can no longer resist, and it moves forward with it. There's no reason we can't be like a slinky going down the stairs. Religion, science, religion, science, religion, science. It just, that whole slinky effect, there's just no reason we can't be at the leading edge always, providing encouragement to the people who are doing such great work in the scientific field. I guess that's kind of it. Just, if we learn to appreciate the strengths of some of the people that occasionally are opposed by marginal belief systems, we might find that there's much to admire in the scientific community. And I'm not saying it because I love science. I think science is awesome. I don't see any conflict between science and religion. I think religion usually is behind science, but I don't think science is always right, but it's not science's job to prove that God exists. And it's unfair for scientists to make a declaration that God doesn't exist because I can't prove it. Nor do I think it's religion's responsibility to decide how old the earth is. Render unto Caesar that which belongs to Caesar, and unto God that which belongs to God. I don't think it's the job of religion to tell a scientist whether he's right or wrong. They're much more diligent about finding out the truth than we are. We're more interested in keeping the status quo and not letting things change. I don't think that serves God well at all. I agree with you. Chemistry does. Well, I think so many things prove the existence of the Creator. If I studied the human eye, it's like, that's proof enough for me. I studied the human tongue, studied the endocrine system, the nerve system. study anything about the universe, God, this place is genius. Absolutely genius. So, and I see my friend Joe. Hopefully you don't mind me saying hello to you, Joe. Joe Liner's a good friend and an artist. I haven't talked to him in a long time. But you can find his stuff on Facebook. He does really wonderful art. Anyway, that's about it. I think religion should stand on the shoulders of giants and not rest in the shadow. Because the slinky effect is not good for religion when it hangs on to the things that ultimately science can prove are obsolete. I think we can lead the way, or at least be like the slinky going down the steps and all get there at the same time virtually. You never know who's going to get to the finish line first, but let's do it together, okay? Love you. Bye.